Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and this is game number 2 of a best of 3. It is a Zerg versus a Terran and Derelict Watcher is going to be the map for game number 2. Now, currently, game number 1 was pretty quick, not super quick but just a fairly standard length game. And it was a very unusual opening from the Zerg, but we'll get to that in a second. First, in the top right position spawning as the red Terran player from Team Liquid, we have got TaeJa. And his opponent, in the bottom left, from Team Millennium, it is GosWser. Now, GosWser game number 1 went for a hatch first into a spawning pool. That's pretty normal, right? Yeah, I'm cool with that. And then he went for a proxied hatchery at his opponent's 4th base location. And it all nicely went into a quick little 7 roach rush, which could have done a huge amount of damage had it not been for the fact that TaeJa was getting out Banshee. And of course, Banshee do very well against roaches. So while a couple of workers were killed, it just wasn't enough. The 3 Banshee then came over to GosWser's base, annihilated a good number of drones, and really from there, GosWser never really caught back up. It was a big commitment, and he had to deal critical damage with that proxy hatchery in order to justify doing it and really stay in the game, if not win it. So, GosWser, this game, be interested to see whether he does something a bit more standard. He hasn't pulled any fancy drones yet to go wandering off across the map. He's just coming down here, taking his hatchery for the time being. Notice TaeJa as well, going for an identical build to the first game, just happily sitting along here, going racks into gas, probably going to be Reapers once more, and that again is perfectly safe to do. There's a nice little area to come up and in and out, then you've got a nice little bit of cliff here, nice little bit of cliff here that you can bounce up and down and be pretty damn happy about. So those Reapers, will we get 2 again? Maybe. It forces a couple more Zerglings, reduces the drone count, and can be very nice. But also, we could just see the 1 for a little bit of scouting information. It really depends what TaeJa wants to do, whether he's going to be following it up with those Banshee again, which were arguably very successful in the first game. Overlord is just coming to get a little scat around here, going to get his way into the back of the main, ready to sacrifice himself for the greater good in the later stages to find out what TaeJa's planning. But GosWser this game, playing things a lot more standard, getting down that gas, getting down the spawning pool, everything looking fine on his side. So, obviously being a best of 5, these two definitely want to make sure that things go happy. TaeJa not quite at the point yet where he can sit back and take some big risks, because he's only 1 game up, and in a best of 5 that really doesn't mean much. If you get 2-0 up in a best of 5, that's when you start getting a nice little cushion blanket where you can sit there and be like, okay, let's take a chance, let's see if we can win this quickly, let's 2 racks or something like that. But nonetheless, let's take a quick little look at this nice little center. I think this would make an amazing, like, garden ornament, like a flaming giant ball of something. That'd be cool. Anyway, Reaper making his way up, 2nd Reaper just popping out now, the factory coming up behind this. A couple of Zerglings going to be forced, 2 out already, 2 more on their way, so already TaeJa's forced those, well, now 6 lings out, so 3 less drones than there would have otherwise been. An extractor being made to save the poor drone's life, but should get cancelled and come back. Most likely, may actually be kept just because of the time. GosWser wouldn't be in a terribly bad position going up to 2 gases right now. The Queens out are going to help with the Reaper, but of course the 2nd Reaper on his way, he's just going to really start poking and prodding, and as you know, Reapers can just micro back, deal a nice little bit of damage to Queens, run away, heal up, come back and try and finish the job off, which is always very frustrating. Zergling speed on its way down, 2nd CC on its way down here for TaeJa too. TaeJa definitely not going up to that Stargate play again, because he's adding on 2 additional barracks this game. So, just playing things a little bit more safely than he was in game number 1. Probably not going straight up there. The 2nd gas is only just taken, but it's only got a single SCV mining from it, so that's not a big income. GosWser, he's just sitting here and really just droning, getting up 4 Queens. No 3rd base yet. Needs to look to take that in probably about the next minute or so, just in order to stay a base up, unless he's got some kind of 2 base timing that he wants to try and exploit. But I doubt we'll be seeing that, because just getting up to the 4 Queens, he's wanting to spread some creep out, he's wanting to make sure that he gets good map control and probably take it into the more mid-game stages. Currently, for TaeJa, he's getting out the Hellions, the Reapers once more, so pretty similar build, just without the Starport quite as early, and that isn't something to be massively concerned about. We do have, of course, the Tech Lab coming down on the barracks once more. The Zerglings are going to try and poke up here, but the Hellions doing a good job of holding those back. There's the 3rd, right on cue from GosWser, just as he should be getting it at around sort of, well, that came down at roughly about 6 minutes 20, so really nice period of time for that. The Overlord probably going to look to try and sacrifice itself in the next minute or so, just to get a little bit of scanning scouting information, find out what's going on here. Do I have to be prepared for Banshee? Do I have to be prepared for a big infantry push, a stim +1, medevac timing, all of those sort of things which are likely to be occurring. Really, GosWser just wants to find out which one it is, and therefore start packing up back home to be able to deal with it. Now, third base coming up and down, we do have the creep spread going nicely across the map, but the big thing for GosWser at the moment is he's just being very vigilant with these Zerglings, kind of check around, make sure that he's aware of any move outs from his opponent, gets a good look of things coming down, but unfortunately didn't have a Zergling outside his opponent's natural, so has no clue that these Hellions and Reapers are coming forward. And while there are 3 Queens at the front, they do need to be a little bit careful, because if they do get separated from each other, then of course the Reapers and Hellions can do a nice little job at starting to pick away at them, especially if they just go for a couple of little shots. They're going to try and prevent the creeps, and this is exactly what I mean. A couple of Queens going away from the third just makes them a little bit more vulnerable, but with Zerglings from behind, TaeJa still just playing this very carefully. He's only lost 50 resources so far this game, so definitely trying to make sure that he doesn't lose anything. And conservation of units can be just so critical, especially if you're up against the Zerg, because if you force them to make a lot and trade costs ineffectively, it really puts their pressure on to getting a good economy up. And as we know, GosWser having to get out a decent number of Zerglings in order to defend this, so his drone count isn't even as high as he would want it. So just little bits of poking and prodding. The Queen's starting to take a bit more damage. One is going to go down now, and this is really the point, that these Hellions and Reapers can harass the Queens quite nicely, and if they do get taken out, creep spread gets delayed a bit more. You get less control in order to deal with these Hellions and Reapers later on, and when they get joined by this small little Marine and Marauder medevac force with stim, actually this gets fairly damn scary. So this is something that really GosWser is going to have to pull out a couple of good stops to defend. His Baneling Nest has only just been started. He doesn't have a Roach Warren yet either, so he's defending this purely with Zerglings. That's going to be pretty tough for him, and in all honesty, he's going to have to pull off a very nice hold. So TaeJa's starting to make his way forward. Is he going to go for the third? Is he going to go for the natural? We'll have to wait and see. But for the moment, just more Zerglings desperately trying to get pumped out. GosWser needs to engage this very well. The Hellions are a bit of a threat. Luckily, no Widow Mines in the composition, though. 2 drones are about to die. And up into the natural, we see GosWser trying to defend as best he can. TaeJa gets the Queen pretty damn quick. The Zerglings get the surround, but it's just not enough units. And this means TaeJa pushing in still with a mighty force, able to start dealing a nice little damage to this drone line. The drones are desperately trying to evacuate. The Spire scouted, not trading focus though, instead the hatchery going down. TaeJa knows that he can potentially just win the game here. Baneling's starting to morph in, that is needed, but the Spire goes down, no canceller either. Suddenly GosWser only on 2 hatches without any key tech. Yes, these Banelings should now be able to clean up this push, but at what cost? The Evolution Chamber researching +1 carapace also goes down. A couple of units will be able to escape with their lives through the medevacs, and the third is now going to try and get a little bit of poking damage done. But with the Zerglings there, with the Banelings waddling their way forward too, I think TaeJa just going to say, I've done enough damage now, and pull back and go home. He's got his 3rd orbital command nearly finished up. He's got his 1-1 upgrades on the way down, and he knows that he doesn't have to worry about that Spire. And without the Spire there, it simply means that TaeJa can just sit there and sit back and say, I can drop all day, because you don't have Mutalisks, you can't stop my drop play, and that means my medevac count is going to skyrocket. I can be harassing, I can keep you pinned back and prevent you from moving out across this map, and that is really what TaeJa wants to do. It's allowing him to take this 3rd base, it's allowing him to take some risk, get out a whole ton of units, tech up, get the upgrades down, all while still being the dominant force across the map. He's forced back the creep spread as well. Currently only the first wave of creep dreamers are still there, but Baneling's rolling in, some good connections there from GosWser. If he keeps that up, it will be good. Remember, no Widow Mines are down for TaeJa. Without those Widow Mines, the Banelings are pretty damn scary, even with good splits. So, in come the Zerglings once more. The Marines still trying their utmost to engage this, will be forced to lift up and get back in the safety of a medevac, but GosWser really leveling things out there, making sure that he really forces that back. He's got his natural base back up and running. So TaeJa, he is still ahead. There's no way to sugarcoat that. He's in a good position. But at least for the moment, GosWser has forced back the pressure. He's getting up his macro hatch. He can resaturate his natural base, and he's also got his Spire down. That Spire being finished means Mutalisks can start coming out. He can start deal with drops if they want to come in. GosWser also doing an amazing job of spreading his overlords to see if there's any drops on their way through. Love that. But TaeJa, he isn't even going to be trying to go for the drop route. He's just moving forward with nothing but Marine, Marauder, and medevac. He has only 2, I believe, Widow Mines on the field, and they're defensive Widow Mines for the time being. So this is a very interesting strategy from TaeJa. No tanks, no mines. It's not usually a thing you see against Zergling Baneling, but now with a good amount of infantry coming forward, it's got to be careful though. There's a good number of Banelings there. The splits from TaeJa are very good, and that means the Banelings do a minimal amount of damage. Very important splits there from TaeJa, like an absolute beast. Does pick off those Banelings too, and that means the GG is called, and TaeJa is gonna go 2-0 up in this best of 5. So, like the video, leave a cool comment, and then I'll see you at game number 3 in just a second.